My name's Jasmine, and today I'm going to walk you through how I personally groom my horse from start to finish. But first, let's go get him from the field. Always ensure that when you bring in your horse and you tie them up, they're tied to twine, not to the wall, and that they have a quick release knot. So if they pull back or something happens, they can be released really fast. Now that we have our horse ready to go and fastened to the twine, we can start grooming. So it is important to know why we groom a horse. So we groom a horse to check them over, make sure they don't have any cuts on their legs, they don't have any feet problems. We do it to get to know them, just to become their friend before we ride. We do it to increase their circulation. So for recovery in horses, it's good to increase the blood flow, things like that. It's also good before you put your saddle on to get rid of all of the dirt so nothing rubs them, and that's not fun for them. First step. So we're gonna start by curry combing him. So this is basically to get all of the dust from under their coat, especially in the winter, so that there's nothing there. It's exactly like when you have sand in your hair, trying to get that out. That's what the curry comb will do. It'll kind of bring it all to the surface. So to curry comb, see how I want you to just note on the horses where the coat is. So the coat will grow a certain way, and you usually can see that. So when we're brushing, we always want to go with the coat, unless there's really stuck on mud that we may have to go against. So for him, his coat will go this way. So we're going to go in circles with his coat. And you want to do that everywhere. I always start from the neck all the way to his butt. After I get all of the hair and all of the stuff up, I will use a shedding blade. This is really important spring and fall when they're shedding their winter and summer coats. So there's a couple different types of shedding blades. I have two here that I always use. Number one is this one. This is kind of your basic shedding blade. There's a serrated edge. That is the one that you're going to use on your horse. It is important not to use this on legs, face, anywhere that can be very sensitive or is very bony. You don't want to use a shedding blade on it because it can hurt them. So same thing with the shedding blade. Use the serrated edge and you go with the hair, and that will get all of the extra shed. Just help them shed out a little bit. The second shedding blade is this one. So you can see that it actually has kind of a serrated edge to it. Don't know if you can see that. There. And so that will actually get all the shed off. This is really good for horses with really fine hair, things like that. This one, same way. You want to kind of have it at a 90-degree angle, and you're going to just kind of run it along. And that takes lots off. Of course, starting from the neck, going to the butt. The next brush you're going to use is a mud brush or a dandy brush. A mud brush, quite coarse. You can see they're pretty hard. So that's for really, you can see it's very dusty. It's for really hard mud in the winter time when they have really thick coats. You could flick it off. We also have this one, definitely a lot more soft. You can see it's a lot more malleable. This I like for everyday use. So these are really good after you get all of that hair up, all of that with the curry comb, all of that dust or sand or whatever may be on your horse. You can use these to flick off that dust. So this is why I use this one, because it actually will get most of, you can actually see some of the dust coming off. And this one, of course, you go with the hair and just almost like you'd sweep a floor like that. So just flicking it. Mud brush, you do have to be a little bit careful on legs and bony parts, but with the dandy brush, usually you can use it everywhere. I've used it on horses' faces, on their tails, on their legs. Next, you would use a body brush. These are mainly to bring all of the extra oils up from the bottom of their coat, from their roots. And it's also really good for getting rid of like excess dust, hairs that are just kind of sitting on top that you didn't get before with the dandy brush or the curry comb. So with these ones, it's just a long gliding motion. Think about skating on their skin. So it's going with the hair, and you can see that kind of glosses them up. It makes them really, really shiny. Yeah, and the same thing with this one. It's this exact same, it's just a little bit smaller because I have small hands. The next thing I would do is we are going to use a mane and tail brush. This is basically a hairbrush, exactly like you'd use in your hair, same thing. So I live by mane and tail conditioners. Basically, they detangle the hair. Make sure that you're not going to break anything off of your horse's mane and tail. Now that we're on the other side where Tuffy's mane naturally lays, we're going to brush it. So essentially, you take your detangler, make sure that it's on. You can see it's a streamer spray, and you want to spray. Then you're going to brush, making sure when they have longer manes, you want to start at the bottom and go to the top. See how that kind of makes it look nice? Makes it detangled. He looks like he has a mane again. So the next brush, if you will, is a hoof pick. So you can see that this one, it has a brush and it has the actual pick part, which is like a middle bit. So hoof picks are really important, arguably the most important, because they let us assess our horse's feet. There's a common saying, no feet, no horse. That rings true. Pick up the foot, pick out all of the dirt, the rocks, and everything that's not great. And also look at their feet. You can smell, you can kind of see if there's little white bits, it can be thrush. So you can kind of assess your horse's hoof health through picking their feet. It also makes sure that the horse doesn't have any stuck on mud that's gonna create too much moisture. If you leave rocks in your horse's feet when you ride, when you do whatever you do with your horse, they can bruise their sole. When you're picking the hoof, you wanna make sure that you're not hitting, there's a V, almost like flesh-like form in the horse's hoof. It's like a V, and we call it the frog. So you want to pick only on the sides of the frog, and when you're going over the frog, either use the brush or use the side of your hoof pick, just to be a little bit more gentle, because that is the most sensitive part of the foot. So my horse loves licorice. He loves it, so I always have licorice. This is like, thank you for standing still. Thank you for the ride. He's right here ready. As you can see, he loves it. Anyways, that is my vlog. That is how I groom my horse. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learned something and you can apply this to your own horse.